world, but it's old to you.
Yeah.
But now you're like,
so you don't have the same energy. You don't want to all the time that shit happen. I'm like, yo, I don't want to push this shit no more. But that's what art is, though. Like that's like having a picture you painted and then
but
throwing it away.
There's music and then there's the music business. If you just was focused on the art, you'd give your music away for free. You wouldn't worry about it. But if you're trying to do the business part, then do business. You have an asset that you're not exploiting to its full extent because, like, what, you got tired of it?
That's what we expect too much out of people. Some people don't have they're not versed in business and that whole jargon and.
Then find someone who is, man.
Yeah. All right, we are back with the refill. I'm your host, Seville. We got my main man, Reggie, and my guy, Dr. Debauchery, the king of ceremonies.
Nah, don't call me that. Call me Zulu Africa, nigga. I'm on all black everything.
Nah.
Zulu Africa.
And we got a few, we've been missing for a while, and we got a few things we got to jump into that, first and foremost, how do you guys feel about this Joe Budden and
I was just about to say that.
And him being
the Spotify deal.
Yeah, claiming that he's the sacrificial lamb for the
this was so funny about this topic because I know, like, it's been a couple conversations that we've had on here, and I know that Reg listens to the Joe Budden podcast. Yeah. I just be smirking. I don't say shit, but I listen to it too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to hear what you think.
Do you think it's one of the best podcasts out, Reggie?
I do.
It is.
I say top 2.
It is. I would say it's top 5. I wouldn't say it's top 2. But that's an opinion-based thing, so that doesn't even matter. But I would say, like, and top 5 is a big deal considering how many podcasts are out. And it's just an opinion-based thing. A lot of people would have it like as their number 1 or their top 3 or whatever. But, I mean, I do like the Joe Rogan podcast. I like Tiger Belly. So, I mean, there's other podcasts I fuck with. I would, matter of fact, I would even put it in my top 3. That being said,
but hold on, well, not to interrupt you, Ed, but that says a lot because I know all 3 of us listen to all different types of podcasts. Yeah. So with the amount of podcasts that we consume, and for I didn't hear your rating yet, Ralph, but for Reg, for you to say top 3 and me to say top 2 with all the content that we consume, I think that says a lot. Not that our opinion means shit, but I'm just saying for our audience and for us, that says something.
I got one podcast. Joe Rogan is a podcast I listen to religiously, but
always.
I like, as far as I like Joe Budden podcast. I like the Tiger Belly. I like the Fighter and the Kid. I'm not gonna lie, I always catch like sound bites. I'll be honest with you. Like, I'm a big like self-improvement podcast listener. Like, I listen to Mind Your Business. That's a good one. I like that a lot. I listen to like a lot of just self-development business wise, and I listen to that
stuff for like introspective versus but like entertainment.
Yeah, because some of them I can't really sit through the whole 2-3 hours. I just like the sound bites. I like 20 minutes. I like when Link send me little screenshots of the shit,
and you just get little like because you do that to me all the time. You send me like little clips, and I'll sit down, something you could ponder over. But the thing that makes the whole Joe Budden thing like super interesting is, like, one, like, we're podcasters, right? Yeah. And I've done business with companies, and I know exactly what Joe's talking about, where it's like, I'll go pitch a company, and they've never done a podcast deal before. So, I'm walking them through how to do a deal, and then they're going to, like, come back around and do a deal.
So where is this, I don't know much, right? Yeah. I'm ignorant. Where is this confidence coming from? Because on the outside looking in, it seems like a lot of people was thinking they lost their jobs. But when I caught like just people's auras, like, oh, I feel sorry for you. Y'all should have got lawyers. But my thing is like,
no, because people don't know any better.
So where's the confidence coming from?
Because they know they're about to walk into a fucking massive bag.
With who? Not
anybody.
Spotify.
Anybody.
Okay, so
okay, I'll put it to you like
Spotify
this.
dropped the ball. That's what's going on.
Basically, what Joe's saying, and I think a lot of people got lost in translation because like. Not everyone understands doing like metrics-based business, but
Link, you there?
Link?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just listening.
Shit.
Bro, put your jammy down. This is work, bro. Like, you can't be like, what are you doing?
Sam, I'm here. When I'm not talking, I put it on mute so there's no feedback in the background.
My apologies, King. My apologies.
Bullshit.
Yeah, that's right, nigga.
Cap. All right, so when you're doing metrics-based business, they basically, what Joe was saying was he didn't have access to his full metrics. He didn't have the numbers he needed to walk into a room and really negotiate his worth because he didn't know what his worth was.
In the beginning?
In the beginning.
Okay.
So once all that stuff was done with Spotify, they did it as an experiment to kind of figure out their worth and their place in the market.
Okay.
The issue was once everything was sort of situated, he understood what he was worth to the market. Once you kind of understand what you're generating for a company, your wheels are going to start turning. Depending on the type of nigga you are, like your wheels are going to start turning. So now if I know I'm making you, let's say $1 billion, if you're making a company $1 billion,
right,
this is consistent business, you're making them $1 billion, you're worth $1 billion to that company. What do you feel that company should pay you? What are you worth at that point?
I used to kick this shit to Link all the time.
What are you worth at that point?
Right.
So a lot of people would just be like, yo, that a bag's a bag, just be glad. Like some people will look at that as you generated them $1 billion, but because I've never seen $1 million, I can't fathom $1 million. Just take that shit. Just be glad they gave it to you.
So can we give Dame Dash his flowers while he could smell it?
I've always said it.
My man,
I've always said that shit.
Look, OG been kicking this shit. He been saying, listen, these companies trying to jerk us. They're trying to sleepwalk us, you know? But there are a lot of instances where, of course, everything Dame is saying is right, but most people don't have the leverage to negotiate or leverage the deal.
Thank you. Especially, and that's very important to mention, though. That's very important to mention.
Family and shit skinny, like you know you're worth $1 million, but they put that 500 in front of you, and you know you got to buy diapers and shit. Niggas just like.
Oh, fuck. Right now,
I can't afford to play hardball with these niggas.
Like,
you know what I mean?
Lucky I need this.
Yeah, basically.
Lucky I need this.
But fortunately for Joe and them niggas, they don't really need it.
Yeah, all right. Let's talk hypothetical numbers. What you think Joe bagging in? Not to be, just not to be counting niggas' pockets, but just so we could know what we looking forward to
port over his audience, and we're looking at like possible value like in the future. I don't want to count nobody's pockets, like just saying that. But if we're talking about him basically bringing over his audience, which is massive, we're talking about, and they were trying to lock him into a 360 because again, the math makes sense.
Yeah, with the whole
music isn't keeping the audience locked into a platform the same way a podcast is. Someone because that whole Spotify podcast, the irony is I was on Spotify and I listened to the whole 3 hours. You know what I mean? So, especially when he kind of dropped that whole little tidbit and sidebar, like there was like 3 companies that just reached out to me that technically is confidential and I'm not allowed to say.
Did you sign the NDA, brother?
Yeah, basically.
All right, say less.
But they're about to get into podcasts.
All right.
And basically they asked me to port my podcast over and they're gonna do like some type of promotional deal, like the first podcast but it's gonna be a whole big thing.
So listen, moving from go ahead, cut you off.
So and Joe mentioned that Spotify is about to basically start adding visuals, sort of, because YouTube got the whole thing with the YouTube. So if we're talking about if we say just hypothetically Joe's generating $1 billion annually off Spotify, he should get a quarter of that.
I agree. And I think you made a good point. Now
when the overhead is low as fuck, like they're taking care of all the costs.
It's a win-win. What you gonna say, Lane?
My bad, Lane.
Here's a question I gotta ask. So I'm about to pivot just a little bit.
Go ahead, pivot.
So, because I think we're in agreement about the Joe Budden podcast. Now, where I would pivot is the critiques he made about Charlamagne the God. So,
what happened? What Charlamagne say?
You missing episodes and shit. You fucking shit up. Link, this thing not paying attention.
I just been grinding.
I'm gonna make it brief. So Charlamagne just got inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame along with the Breakfast Club,
which is dope.
DJ,
congratulations to them.
Absolutely, congratulations, bless up. So technically, DJ Envy is what you would consider in the business an A mic. Charlamagne would be a B mic. Angela Yee would be considered a B or a C mic, right? So they've signed multi-million-dollar contracts like 3 to 5 years ago. They already signed like multi-million-dollar contracts. But Joe is saying that you guys crushed one radio station, an iconic New York radio station in Hot 97, at the same time uplifting digital content and your radio platform at 105 point whatever. You know what I mean? So I heard. So what Joe was basically saying to Charlamagne, without trying to like sensationalize it, is like, I'm trying to be independent, build my own brand, build my own network. I am a network. You still work for somebody, because Charlamagne had criticized him like, why are you being so difficult with your contract? And why are you complaining about them signing other networks such as a Gimbal or Joe Rogan, or it was one other conglomerate they signed, Spotify did. Yeah. It was like, Charlamagne was like, but you're Joe Budden. Why are you complaining about what they're trying to give you versus why are you comparing yourself to a network? Joe Budden's rebuttal was, I am a network, right? And then he countered Charlamagne by saying, like, you're a B mic. You saved an entire radio station and you crushed a legendary New York radio station, and you're getting crumbs. So I would just like to ask you, gentlemen, how do you feel about that? And keep in mind that Charlamagne did sign like almost a $5 to $10 million contract with iHeart, but still they made probably $5 billion.
I mean, if I throw my 2 cents in there for whatever it's worth, I mean, he's right, respectfully.
Yeah,
he's right.
I agree. Because like the Breakfast Club,
that's what Dame was talking about.
In several markets.
Yeah,
Dame packaged it wrong, but I got his point. But he delivered it wrong.
Yeah, respectfully.
And he's Dame. Like, people just call him crazy.
Yeah, no.
I like the way you worded that. He definitely packaged it wrong. But I now I understand what y'all saying. But yeah, I agree with that. He definitely packaged it wrong. But go ahead, because I want to hear your opinion on that.
I want to see your thoughts, Link, because I mean, again, you got to look at it from like, or yours too, like you look at it from the Joe Budden point of view or the Charlemagne point of view, because I mean, historically, this has happened with creatives and so on and so forth because we're not savvy enough.
Right.
We come into a situation, they put us on their platform, they put us on their stage. We make God knows how much, because I think Joe kept bringing up like different situations, like for example, how much has Wayne made Universal versus how much Universal's paid Wayne.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So we're talking about like just what y'all told me. It sounds synonymous to just business, period. Where instead of being on the menu, be at the table, right? That's what it sounds like.
I think we're at a point now. What Joe is talking about, and correct me if I'm wrong, and you guys tell me what you think or what you feel like you would need to be paid if. Okay, like hypothetically, put a pin in it, but hypothetically, if you made a company $1 billion, what would you be comfortable walking away with? But my thing is, I think we're getting to a point where, like Joe is saying, it's either pay me what I'm worth and bring me in as a partner, because he mentioned like stock options and so on and so forth, and basically bring me to the table, or I'm going to go out and I'm going to build my own table.
I mean, that's always the way to do it. You know,
but how much do you guys want?
You know, let me tell you, the last country that did something like this, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Haiti, they did that. Oh, we just lost them.
No. Fuck shit, man.
Yeah, hold on.
Did you have him on FaceTime audio?
No.
I should call him. I mean, however you want to set it up. This nigga Link, boy. Yo.
Yeah, I'm here. All
right, cool. So yeah, you were saying.
Now I was saying, you know, not to be dramatic, but like Haiti kind of did something like this, right? Where it's just like
the rebellion and shit.
The rebellion, but I'm talking I'm compartmentalizing it. The aspect of you want to do your own thing. Obviously, you want to be free, but let's get away from that for a second. But they just left them. They said, you know what? Fuck it. We're leaving you. We're cutting all the trades. Nothing's going to be sent. Nothing's coming out, which essentially kind of destroyed the country in a way.
Haiti was taxed pretty heavy.
Right. So it's just like one of those. I think Charlemagne coming from a scared disposition or a scared angle. Like, listen, like, don't just take what you can. Like, how much money do you need?
But I mean,
Joe's coming from a more so of a legacy. Am I right?
Charlemagne
like, more so like a.
I don't want this to come off bad.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? But I mean, Charlemagne, I feel like is like sort of like the house cat. Like, you know, he's been taken care of. Yeah. Like, you know, like the networks love him. He has relationship with all these big companies.
And he's comfortable.
He's playing a different game than Joe is playing. Yeah. Because I agree. It's the difference between me, my boy who's trying to basically be promoted at his job and become like vice president or some shit, and me who's like, I don't want to be promoted. I don't want to work for anybody. So basically,
it's all relative. Yeah. Then. It's
relative. It's a different conversation. So I think Charlemagne's comparing Joe's contractual situation to someone who wants to be employed, whereas Joe basically prefers freedom. And if you're going to, and he wants ownership, like if it was just a bag, he could sell everything to Spotify. And I understand Spotify's point of view, because Spotify is probably only going to invest X amount into a property that it doesn't own, because they'd possibly be building up a property that's going to just end up at another platform.
Yeah. Very good point. Now, this is where I want to hear you all's more or less like the moral fork in the road, or like you all's opinions. So Joe had mentioned like briefly that he had spoke to DJ Envy right after he had signed a contract, and DJ Envy immediately got defensive, was like, hey, I got kids, bro. Yeah. Now he was like, you guys had tore down Hot 97, built up 105. Like, why would you just accept that $5 million to $10 million? DJ Envy's reply was, I got 5 kids, bro. Now, and I think Charlemagne's in the same boat. He grew up in a trailer park. You know what I mean? Now he's a premier DJ in New York, signing $10 million contracts. And from his position, he could put other people on. But he does work for, and he's like, in terms of a totem pole, he would be towards the bottom of a totem pole because he's considered talent, but he's still signing a $10 million contract.
He's playing good.
So where do y'all feel with that in terms of ownership versus working for someone, but the work you do for someone pays you very lucratively? Can we judge that man?
I think no, you can't. And I think that we could just.
He's playing a different game.
You could flip anything from hindsight. It's like, okay, look, I'm down bad right now. 10. I got 5 kids. 10 million sounds great. I'm not in the mindset of. Or the mind state of, okay, I want ownership. I want billions of dollars. I'm about to make you $1 billion. You're not even thinking like, you don't have that foresight.
Agreed.
You don't have that foresight. So it's all hindsight.
It depends on what makes you feel comfortable too. It's sort of like people who are entrepreneurs that shame people who want a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people. Like
some people want that security, yeah, exactly.
And there's a peace of mind that comes with it too. Because to be honest, as an entrepreneur, like they said on a podcast, like the game is feast and famine. Like when shit's good, like shit's real good right now. Like when shit's good, it's great. Right. When shit's hit and shit gets skinny, it's like it's really skinny. Whereas someone who has a job is just like, yo, I like the consistency. Yeah. I like the idea of like coming up in the company. Charlemagne's playing the game where like, you know, one day he might be in a position where he's the guy at that top desk. You know what I mean? On like some L.A. Reid shit or some Simon Cowell shit, who's making these decisions and is giving the green light or whatever. Like his goal is to be that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you don't take nothing, which I'm following. I'm picking up what you're putting down basically. Yeah. But what you're saying is like, as from one man to another man, or looking at another man's situation without condoms pockets, you don't look at them differently. You compartmentalize them is basically what you're saying.
Like the thing I look at Joe's thing, and I don't know the Spotify deal, so I can't speak on it. Like hypothetically, like if I made this can of Red Bull and you asked me to buy this can of Red Bull, I wouldn't mind selling it to you because I'm selling you the can of Red Bull. I'm not selling you like my ability to make the can of Red Bull. Now, if you offered me a deal to buy every can of Red Bull I ever made after this, exclusively, or every beverage I made after that, that'd be a little bit trickier. You would have to give me a ridiculous amount of money to basically buy out my future.
Right. Now, here's the thing. The slight difference, financially speaking, which we don't have all the facts, and we're being transparent about that. Yeah. But Charlamagne has have been more impactful to iHeartRadio on 105.7 than Joe was Spotify. You got to like,
of course,
vastly. And he's getting $10 million versus he's been there for 10 years versus, let's say, the $10 billion that he's made them.
But that's the way the machine is built. Like, they were never going to build a way for you to come in and just be like, yo, I want like the shit is built since the inception of the industry. And I'm not even going to just say music because there are a lot of exploitive industries. I don't want to say exploitive, but it is what it is.
No,
this shit is built from jump to function on this labor.
You know, I don't like going deep sometimes into like hindsight conversations because we could go down a rabbit hole. Because look, there's a major variable here. When Charlamagne and Envy was doing what they was doing, podcast wasn't where it is now. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like you came in, you know, Joe Budden slipped through the cracks, went at the grassroots of podcasts and really just elevated. So now to judge a man because you came up before it, you came up on a different playing field. Like, that's all. We talking from hindsight.
I think that's a very fair point, though. Right? I do think that's a very fair point.
Niggas came up from the mud. The other way you could paint that is you was doing something when nobody fucked with it. Yeah. Like, it's different.
Who, Joe or
Joe? Yeah. Because like when I talk to people about entrepreneurship, I was an entrepreneur before the shit was sexy. I was an entrepreneur when entrepreneur was like meant bum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I've been doing this shit for a while. You know me. Like, I've been out here for a while. Instagram made this shit sexy. I've been out here before IG was
selling your body and
yeah,
for sure.
All right, well, let's switch it a little bit. What else you want to touch on, my nigga?
This reminds me of because now we could play devil's advocate. We could go deeper into it because now let's look at we're not going to say he's Charlemagne, but let's look at Nick Cannon's situation because Viacom shut him down. He had a lot going on with Viacom because, you know, Viacom owns Nickelodeon. He was executive vice president over at Nickelodeon. He had a couple of gigs there. He had a bunch of shit going on with I think it was like, it was Viacom. And then, like, you know, shit with like fucking VH1.
ABC or Fox or whatever.
They shut down Wild 'N Out.
Oh, they shut it down?
Yeah, and that shit it's tricky because then you have the other side where it's like, do you toe the company line? Because you're feeding a lot of motherfuckers. A lot of people depend on you to keep it. Yeah. What y'all think of that?
All because of that comment.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
What's wildin' though?
Bro, you can't talk about Jews or gays, bro. It's a wrap up for that.
Yeah, he was on one. I mean, it's just like you can't. People fucking with blacks.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, we still can take some arrows though, but you can't fuck with no Jews and no gays.
But y'all never answered the question, the $1 billion question. How much do you like? How much would you feel like you could walk away from and still feel okay?
That depends where you at in your life.
I would lean on Ralph's point in terms of like where they were at and where the industry was at two separate times.
Bro, I'm talking
and
about
then they became parallel
right now.
You know what I mean?
Y'all, right now, if you were worth $1 billion to a company, what would you take?
That's a loaded question, though.
No,
I had to take $100 million. That's 10%, bro.
You said 10 million?
Because I was have to take 100. If I made a company $1 billion and we were projected to $1 billion plus, right? With my platform,
why not 20?
I need 100. I need 100 million, nigga. I need 10%.
Why 10%?
But he said 20? That's the lowest he'd walk away with.
Okay.
I need 10%. 100 million, bro.
Me too, then.
Yeah.
10%. The lowest.
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't know.
The minimum I walk away was 20.
20%?
Yeah.
Why not 30?
I mean, 20. You can't. Reg, you know you can't make a good enough business argument
honestly,
for 20%.
No,
you can't make unless you were invested in the company, unless you had shares and you were a stakeholder. You can't ask for 20%. You know that.
Yeah, I can. Okay, if we're talking in terms of
Reg and Ralph, both y'all know how percentages work.
No, yeah, but
10% is still.
If I have a property that I own and my property is making your company $1 billion, I can negotiate 25%. Of course, I will. At
25%, you will be a partner. So you're asking for partnership.
Okay, come like when you get these numbers,
I would no, because you have to look at like how much you're worth the company and how much is making off the property.
Right.
And you have to look at that in like perpetuity. Like, so basically my property is making you $1 billion today.
Right.
I'm negotiating like, let's say a 2-year deal. Mm-hmm. How much is my shit going to be making you next year? It could be twice that. You know what I mean?
So you saying you would lock in at 20%, 25%?
But like, where you getting these numbers from? Where it's like
I'm scaling down from what I do know about business and percentages. So I'm scaling down from
makes you a
the
partner.
100%.
Go ahead, finish, Lane.
I'm scaling down from what I do know about. I can't talk millions and hundreds of millions, but what I can talk about is from 1 million under or 100,000 under in terms of the percentages I have in companies.
Then let's talk something different, right? Mm-hmm. All right, so I don't want to use drugs as an analogy, but it's like my favorite one, so I'm gonna use drugs. All right, so
talk about that dog food.
All right. So let's say like, you know, Link got a kilo, right? Mm-hmm. And Link don't want to figure out distribution or whatever. So I'm the one who's going to hit the streets and basically make shit work. I got, you know, niggas under me, so on and so forth. We hustle it. I make 100 bands off the kilo, right? Link, how much you want off that 100?
I was working the streets. I brought in all the sales.
No, I made the sales. You just gave me the kilo.
Just gave him the
How much you want? You want 10,000 off that out of that 100,000?
Bro, if I gave you the kilo, I want 75%. I was the supplier.
So when it comes to drugs, you want 75, but when it comes to your other property, you want 10.
No, it's the same. Yo, you said I gave you the kilo.
Yeah.
So no. First, let's not get it confused. Whoa. And this is where I want to take the conversation too. First of all, iHeartRadio and Spotify is the kilo.
Do you work for?
Let's not get that confused. Joe and Charlemagne are selling product.
Oh, that's not the kilo. When we're talking,
the kilo is Spotify. That's the machine.
Whoa.
The kilo is the supplier.
Like, do you work for Spotify? Like,
nigga,
I need you to calm down.
Nah, I love it. Bring that fire out there.
Like Spotify part of the Freemasons. Listen.
Oh wow.
Don't get me started on that.
Listen, the kilo is Joe's podcast. Spotify is distribution.
No, Spotify is Spotify is the supplier because Spotify has a way wider net to cast than Joe Budden does, even though his net casts wide. Joe Budden is the distributor. He's the street man.
No, he's not. You're missing the analogy. Okay.
Oh my God, they're the one who pay him and is trying to get him into contract. They have a way wider net to cast. It's Spotify. They're a conglomerate.
I'm gonna need you to pause for a second and think about what I do for a living. All right.
First of all, let me tell you what I used to do. I used to sell drugs. You never saw the goddamn drug in your life. You don't even give people aspirin without, you know what I mean, like going to the pharmacist first or getting their parents' permission. Stop it.
Chill out, Ghost. All right, so.
Relax, Ghost.
I hate this nigga.
So Joe has the podcast. Joe owns the podcast. The podcast is still Joe's. He licensed it to Spotify. Spotify only does distribution. IP. So Spotify basically sends Joe's podcast to your phone. And for the privilege of having that